Hello and welcome to Community Conversations. My name is Phoenix Kawamoto. I'm the project director for the Greater New Paltz Community Partnership, and I'd like to welcome you to today's show. We have two wonderful guests joining us to talk with us about stress and really how to de-stress and re-energize. It is a topic that I've been getting a lot of feedback about, both from youth and parents, and we're really excited to have them on the show. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Steve Clorfeine from Sky Lake Lodge in Rosendale. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
And also Christina Cordier from SUNY New Paltz. Christina is the Assistant Athletic Director at the college. So welcome, Christina. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Christina has been working with me directly at the New Paltz High School. When I mentioned earlier in the introduction, excuse me, to the show, we have been doing some programs for youth who expressed, when I asked them what is one thing the partnership can help you with right away, their comment was stress. It was unanimous. When we did our parent survey and asked what parents needed help and support with, they said stress management. So under those kinds of umbrellas, as far as our dialogue goes today, I just wanted to give you a moment to kind of talk about who you are and how you work in your settings and how that connects to my inviting you on today's show. So, Steve, would you like to start?
Sure. So I'm a co-founder of Sky Lake Lodge, which is a meditation center under the banner of the Shambhala International Community. But it's also a center for gathering and having conversations. We've been here in we've been at the site in Rosendale since 2001. And previous to that, we had a small group of 6 to 10 people who were meeting periodically for about 4 years previously. Mm-hmm. All of us at the beginning had been in larger centers in diverse places, New York City, Boulder, California. And when I found this place and we were able to fundraise to open it up, it was very exciting because there seemed to be a kind of, we could say, a spiritual belt opening up. And in the Hudson Valley, in the greater Hudson Valley, there were Zen centers and a lot of other Buddhist centers of various kinds. So we were kind of fitted into something that was already beginning to have some fertileness. In the community there, I'm a senior teacher, so I offer workshops, training workshops, as well as individual talks on, for example, Tuesday nights and so on. And I also work as a meditation instructor, which is a one-on-one situation when someone requests to have that relationship. And that relationship involves, getting together once in a while, mm-hmm. usually on the instigation of the person requesting it. But sometimes I call and say, how are you doing? Mm-hmm. And that encompasses not just meditation practice, but also a sense of, how's your life going? And how's this working in your life? And what could be the next step for you to take, or what do you need to step back from, mm-hmm. that kind of thing. My background and current work is I'm a performing artist. I teach theater, physical theater with movement and sound. I still do some performing, and I actually bring that into the work that I do with meditation.
That's great.
Never really separated them so much.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. We're really happy to be working with Sky Lake Lodge. They also participated in Stress Busters Week. Irene Woodard and both Jen Wooden helped out with workshops for students on meditation and mindfulness. Mm-hmm. Christina was working with youth on yoga and Zumba, and really it was a wonderful experience and opportunity for youth in this community to attend classes free of charge and get to try out different types of techniques. And we'll be doing some skill building with them coming up. So, Christina, I know you have a lot happening at the college and oversee many different types of athletic programming. Can you tell us some about that?
Yes, certainly. I work within the Department of Athletics, but specifically I fall under the umbrella of Wellness and Recreation, and I'm the Assistant Director for Fitness Programming specifically. So I work primarily with the group exercise program and the personal training program on campus, and then I'm also involved in other wellness programming through other departments and other avenues within the college. I have a bit of experience as a physical education teacher. I taught PE for a few years, as well as health education, and stress was always one of my favorite topics to teach about, and something that I always found very interesting in that whether I was working with preschool age students and we were working on simple diaphragmatic breathing, or I was working with the high school population, there was always something to work on. So with this initiative going forward, I'm very excited to be involved and be a part of it. And thank you for welcoming me and having me assist with my area of expertise, which is physical wellness. So I find that anytime we are able to use our physical selves to create a stress relief response, it's a good day. And I believe that it's important to expose movers to a variety of different ways that they can move and tap into physical wellness that, then transcends to the other areas of the entire person. Yeah. So that's sort of, my belief in regard to all of this.
One of the things that, I, in just my own experience and walk through life, I've been exposed to different teachings, and in indigenous cultures, a lot of times they will speak of, really health and wellness, excuse me, as, this, 4-part wheel, of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. And a lot of times, when I'm talking with folks, and just even in my own life, I'll come back to that wheel and look at sort of like a tire that's out of balance. When you go to get your tires balanced, they'll plunk a weight in a certain spot to kind of, anchor it and help that tire move better. And I'm a pretty visual and kinesthetic person, and so that analogy really works for me. And I kind of go, okay, if I'm looking at my own personal wellness wheel, I tend to go pretty heavy in certain areas, and I got this flopping over here, and what can I do to, address and care for myself in a holistic way, and I think with, for me and our conversation, I'd like to, kind of talk more and hear more from both of you as to, the self-care and the balance pieces, and that we tend to be in a culture that might focus, tunnel vision on certain aspects, or people might be more inclined to lean towards an area of strength for them that's comfortable, and not be addressing other areas. So what have and whoever would like to start first is fine, but what are your experiences as far as the people that come to you, and because you work with I would guess, some pretty different types of people from your settings. What's your experience and perspective on that?
I feel as though when we talk about self-care, parents oftentimes, and people that are in helping roles, person to person, oftentimes almost feel guilty practicing self-care, and they forget to take time out for themselves to really create that balance within their lives. So that's something I always tell anyone that I work with: if you're not taking care of yourself, then you can't take care of the others around you. So I always try to steer people in a direction where they can sort of deduce what they need within that wellness wheel that you're talking about. And it's a great analogy to work with and think about. And then, how can they reach out to the resources around them and use those resources and practice that self-care and take time out for themselves, and then be able to, help others around them. Oftentimes when people come to me in a personal training setting, I tell people that you need to create time and space in your life for your workout or whatever form of physical wellness that you're going to practice, and you need to treat it as though it's a meeting time in your day, or it's just as important as eating just as important as the 9 a.m. meeting that you have with your boss. So it needs to hold that type of weight and importance in your life. And if, for some reason you deviate from it on any given day, that's okay. But sort of having a sense and a commitment to yourself that it's that important is really paramount in my mind. Do you have any?
Yeah, well, I mean,
thoughts?
there's a real connection there with the way I think we approach the meditation practice also, which is that one of the things that, we say to people is, if you want to develop a meditation practice, you've really got to decide that you can do this on a regular basis.
Right.
And I find myself always saying, look at your life, and if you're going to say to me, okay, I'm going to do this every single day, I'm going to say to you, is that real in your life?
Right.
Can you really do this every single day? Because we don't want a meditation practice to develop under the premise that it's going to be something else stressful.
Right.
That you're going to say, well,
Yeah.
I feel bad. I'm not doing my, a lot of students come back and they say, well, I'm not doing my meditation practice, and or I'm not doing it enough. You just hear a lot about this kind of regret and neglect, and so right from the beginning, I like to say, look at this month, and make a schedule with yourself. And if it's going to be 2 mornings a week that you can sit and practice this meditation for 10 or 15 minutes, that's fine. And if it can be 30 minutes on one day of the weekend, that's fine. And I'll let you know what I think is sort of the most basic thing you can do to develop a practice, and stay with that. So have success in that. Have success in that. And then if that stimulates you to want to go further and have more practice, or do further programs, and develop both your interest and also what you feel like you're learning from this, then fine, go ahead. I think the other thing about meditation practice is it's important to say, and this is hard to hear and sometimes hard to say because of that we have to let go of result a little bit, because it's there's so much intangibility in meditation practice. What are you doing? You find yourself sitting there basically not doing very much, simply watching your watching your thoughts, following your breath. Those are the the techniques, the technical part of a mindfulness practice. But on the other hand, the more intangible part of it relates to things like you're giving, and this is where I connect to what you're saying, you're giving yourself this time to be with yourself.
Right.
And that seems to me to be fundamentally a stress reduction practice, that you're giving yourself this time to not do very much, but be with yourself. And then again, also meditation is not the only way to do that. I mean, it's a great way to do that. And it can be combined with other ways to do that, which is if you find yourself too restless to be doing the meditation practice, just sit and look out the window, or go for a walk and be with yourself in that way, and use the kind of framework of mindfulness. Be mindful in your walk. See what you're seeing, feel what you're feeling.
Pay attention. Open up.
Feel the movement of your limbs as you walk. And feel your heart, particularly feel your heart. How are you feeling? So I think there's a lot. There's much more parallel than we often think there is. And working, directly, physically, and working, in a sort of contemplative fashion.
Yeah.
One of the things I found kind of striking as you were both talking is that the letting go of results, because also with fitness it can become, what's the number on the scale? Is the scale moving in the direction I wanted to? How much weight increases I able to do in my reps, and you know what I mean? It can become more result driven as opposed to self-care, and that I'm moving my body and I'm taking care of, I think it's very easy, and I don't know exactly where those where I've picked up all of those different voices and messages, but they're certainly in there. And, you know, and the same thing with, I love what you were saying about meditation, because I myself can get caught in the all or nothing thinking of, you know, if I can't do 5 minutes every day, you know, like, oh, you know, and so I don't start because I can't do it now, you know, and, you know, that can be a really big trap that's very easy, I think, to fall into. So I thank you for bringing that part out.
Certainly. One of the things, too, just to go off of what you said, and also what you said about, you know, if we have 5 minutes a day, that's wonderful. I always encourage people to set goals that are measurable, attainable, and specific when they talk about their fitness programming or how they're going to take care of themselves. And even if the goal is very small, I'm going to walk 10 minutes a day. You know, that's huge for some people. And I find especially parents and adults have a hard time getting out to the gym to take a class. But there's so many other ways that we are able to take care of ourselves. And I think oftentimes people get stuck in this thinking like, I have to go to the gym to see results. No, you don't. You know, that's not necessarily a true statement. For some people, that's a great setting to do their workout, and for others, it's just not a fit. So I always encourage people to keep trying new things until they find a fit. And the other thing I think that's very important is you want to have fun. It needs to be enjoyable to you, the movement activity that you're doing. And if it's not, then it's just like torture. It's like, why even, you know, why even bother? So I always encourage people to have a good time with what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, one of the things about the aspects of meditation practice that we work with, we call it mindfulness awareness practice. And the mindfulness, and well, first to say that both mindfulness and awareness are inherent capacities of a human being. So everybody knows about mindfulness and everybody knows about awareness. Mindfulness is basically what you practice, hopefully, when you're chopping vegetables, or frying an egg, or crossing the street.
Yeah.
And you know, we hear, you know, you always hear parents saying to kids, you know, be careful. Well, it's not really about careful. It's about use your, you know, your natural resources. So, you know, that kind of teaching. So we all have that capacity. Same with awareness. I mean, awareness is about sense perceptions and awareness of space and awareness of body and awareness of the interaction between space and body and sense perceptions, which, you know, brings us right back to feeling, because feeling has a sense perception quality to it, even though it's not listed as one of the 5 sense perceptions necessarily, but it comes in very close for me, you know, as a 6th actually is feeling. How are you feeling? So we have that, you know, we have that innately, and the connection with meditation practice or contemplative practice in general is we're waking those up. We're becoming more cognizant and relaxed that this is our natural capacity, and that we don't have to push forward. It's already there. We just have to enliven it, more or less. Enliven it. You know, let it come to the fore a little bit. And I think that's where the sort of aspect of calming down, quieting down, which can be done in meditation, which can also be done in walking and different physical activities, you know, where you're paying attention to your body, is a natural calming down. It's often, I think it's spoken of often the other way, that, you know, you're getting the endorphins going and you're really energetic, and then you feel good about yourself. But you also feel good about yourself when you're settling.
Very true.
So it's an interesting balance there. Really, really interesting balance between feeling good, energetically energized, and feeling good, energetically quieted.
Yeah. I think one of the goals that we moved into with Stress Busters, and when I went to go meet with Christina and we were talking about this, is kind of creating a balance of what they refer to as hot and cold practices. Cold being the calming, the centering, the grounding, you know, and hot practices of energy and moving and you know, having, you know, increasing that and wanting youth to have the opportunity to try and balance themselves, because they might be more inclined to the physical activity or more to the meditative type things, and having them have some balance in their tool basket as far as what works for them, what works better in this kind of situation when I need to calm and when I need to speed up. On the partnership side, we're certainly, this is an area of interest and for us on a number of reasons, but especially because people of all ages, will report, that, I shouldn't say all people, but people of all ages report that they are drawn to substances for stress, for self-medicating around anxiety and depression and, different ways of, when they are internally, not just emotionally and spiritually out of balance, but internally things are off. And we're in this culture that moves very, very fast. We just had a conversation before we went on air about, that my schedule is pretty hectic a lot of the time. And learning to kind of balance that with some self-care time like this weekend, was really important. But, being able to help give people tools, because we know what the complaints are when we talk to people with stress. Well, I'm having headaches, insomnia, emotional things. We've seen that. But if we look at simple tips, strategies, practices that you work with, can you expand a little bit more on, what we could offer viewers as far as, things nutritionally, when we look again at that wellness wheel of physical, emotional, spiritual and mental, what kinds of things have you been working with people and developing and that you're finding effective for them?
I think that anytime we're able to eat a whole food diet is definitely helpful. Anytime that we are taking something from a package, it's not the best nutritional choice that we could necessarily make. And I think because our lifestyles are so busy and so hectic, it's, oh my gosh, let me grab this, let me grab that. Especially with the college population, I see a lot of times it could be a question of access. It could be a question of affordability. It could be a question of mass food production. They're eating in a dining hall where things are produced in large quantities, and they don't necessarily have the toolbox or the ability to cook from themselves, for themselves. And I certainly think that that's challenging, but always times when you can lean more toward things that come from the earth, things that are organic, I think that we see a more positive result. I always tell people that our body is like a car. If you put good fuel in your car, then your car will run well. Same thing for your body. If you put good fuel in your body, then you're going to have a slightly more positive result. And I think too, because we're always on the go, we're always looking for things to kind of keep us going, that extra cup of coffee, that energy drink, something that gives you a little extra kick. And it just goes back to the whole balance of things. How can we best balance everything in our lives? And nutrition is certainly a huge part of that. And I think that when you had gone back to talking about being mindful when you're cooking, when you're frying an egg or chopping vegetables, I think that the more we can integrate mindful practice in our kitchens, the better off we'll be. And I know that that's not always the easiest for everyone, but I try to tell people that and practice it myself.
Yeah.
I think one of the threads related to stress is disconnection. That when we're caught up in the kind of speed that is culturally prevalent, and some of it is just unbalanced. The technology is great, but it just produces a lot of speed as it produces more information and more demand to be related. But the difference between being related and connected is something that I think we really need to look at. And we could really look at that, in terms of, well, what am I connecting to? Am I, and coming back to your wheel, which I sometimes was thinking about, as you were describing, I was thinking about the four wheels of the car,
Yeah.
You know, because I'm very specifically, you notice that, your
on
right
tires,
rear is
yeah.
getting, and so the car's going there. But it's the same with your shoes,
Oh,
so
sure.
you can really bring that in. You notice you can really look at how you're wearing yourself,
Yeah.
and what you're connecting to. And so that part of your shoe is not connecting in the same way that the other is. And the same thing, I think, goes on in our lives, that, we could pay more attention to what we're really connected to and what we're doing out of, habit or sense of responsibility or sense of what we should be. There's a lot of that, and I think in the pre-adolescent and adolescent and young adult culture, there is so much stress coming from the sense of I should be like that.
Yeah.
And it's coming, the culture's feeding it tremendously. And we can't do that much about the culture, but we can do something about what we have right in front of us. And so to help, I think with kids, one of the things is to help them investigate what they're connected to.
Mm-hmm.
If they're connected to being a bookworm, great.
Yeah.
What's the energy of being a bookworm? What goes on in your mind from reading a lot of books? Mm-hmm. What do you want to do with that information? So give them that, corroboration for what they're attracted to, what they're connected to, rather than say, you're reading too much, you need to go out and run. And here's a kid who says, run, it's
Not my thing.
It's not my thing, But, if we can, I think, practice a little bit more that sense of for ourselves, and it's ourselves too. It's not, it's not like looking at another stratum of society and saying that's what they could do, but it's looking at ourselves as all the time.
Yeah.
Am I really modeling this myself? Am I doing this for myself? I mean, when I heard you say, I'm
I own
on
it.
the go all the
Yeah.
time, so we kind of each have to
Right.
do that.
To kind of check in and model responsibility for how we're feeling. I mean, I've gone through my own transformation around looking at nutritionally what I was doing and what I wasn't eating, what I was eating, and have radically made those changes that have left me feeling really good.
Yeah.
And now I'm working on more the building in the time for those things, those practices that I know help me, that I've gotten away from. And I just need to do more often, and with that mindfulness, and also that desire to be more in balance, because I know what that feels like. I think the goal for one of the goals for us is the more we can help folks find that place of anchoredness. When you know what that feels like, you know what you want to get back to. There's something in here that kind of lets me know. Okay, I'm leaning a little. I need to, adjust the car. I need to, to beef that back up. I need to cut this part back down. We're very excited. I know at the partnership we're already talking about. We're going to be having a free meditation class with Steve coming up on December 10th at the New Paltz Community Center behind Town Hall off of 32. I think 6:30 on December 10th is what we've had it set for. Stay tuned. Keep a lookout on public access and in the paper, and we'll be having more information out there. And Christina, we're going to look to come the new year, five components of fitness class.
Yes, we're going to hopefully do a live taping of a fitness class so we can sort of give folks at home an opportunity to practice everything that we've talked about, the balance between a hot and cold practice, and sort of a sampler so you can kind of get your feet wet in your own living room if you so choose. And then, we'll give you some resources how you can find what we demonstrate in class out in the community.
Excellent. And, again, the goal of the partnership is to really help connect people with local resources and give you information that you can glean from it what helps you, knowing that everybody's different. They're gonna resonate with different aspects of things, and that's fine. That's what it is about. But to help provide you with opportunities to connect and also get new information. So those classes will be available to people free of charge to come and participate. Again, keep a look at in the local media as far as public access, the newspaper, I also want to refer people to our website, gnpcp.org. That will be another great place to get information and also to be able to catch any of these shows. They will be on our YouTube channel as well as on Channel 23, so you can always watch them at a later date when it's convenient for you. You know, one of the things on that website that I wanted to draw attention to, and I had mentioned it briefly with both of you, is there's a great, well, what I think anyway, is a great TED Talk video on how to make friends with stress. And, you know, I don't want to give it away, but I really recommend folks, if you have 15 minutes to check this video out, it is well worth it, because it really helps. It helped me think about, how do I think about stress and the power of my own thoughts in relation to what reactions I create in my own body that can either help me or harm me in the sense of, you know, physical response. And the power of the mind. I think, you know, we're in an exciting time where we're getting all of this technology that's allowing us to validate ancient traditions. You know, they suddenly have a little more weight to them in certain aspects in our community, certain populations. Things that we can now look at as far as, you know, you were talking about endorphins and so forth. So we're learning new things about ourselves from different channels. And I think we're just in a very exciting time, and we certainly could use all of that given the wheel that we can find ourselves running in. So I want to thank you both for being on the show, and I really look forward to our continuing work together, and really thank you again.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for getting that grant for 5 years to do this.
Yeah, I can't take credit for that, but I'm certainly having a good time
managing it.
And you know, finding the ways that we can to be as helpful as we can across different aspects of life here in the greater New Paltz area. So thank you again for watching Community Conversations. I look forward to seeing you. I hope some of you can make it to one of these free classes, and if not, please check us out either on Channel 23 or online at gnpcp.org. Have a great day.